The history of the 1950 wheat penny is a fascinating chapter in the story of American coinage and represents the closing years of an era that began in 1909 when the Lincoln cent was first introduced, designed by Victor David Brenner. The wheat penny, also known as the Lincoln wheat cent, was created to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, who served as the 16th President of the United States. This design became one of the most iconic and longest running in U.S. history, and by 1950, it had already been in circulation for more than 4 decades. During this period, the penny continued to be struck in its familiar form, featuring Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent on the reverse. This reverse design symbolized prosperity and agricultural strength, which were central themes in early 20th century America. The 1950 wheat penny was struck at 3 different U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced 272 million coins. The Denver Mint produced 334 million, and the San Francisco Mint struck just over 118 million. These large mintages reflected a growing post-war economy after World War II. America was booming, and the demand for small-denomination coins was high. As consumers were spending more and production and trade were rapidly increasing, the coin was made, primarily of copper, containing 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This alloy composition was standard for most wheat pennies except for the wartime years when the composition was temporarily changed due to metal shortages. During 1950, the U.S. Mint had fully reverted to the traditional bronze composition after the steel cents of 1943, and this gave the coin its familiar reddish-brown tone over time. However, exposure to air moisture and handling caused the coins to darken to a brown or even blackish color. Collectors often value the 1950 wheat penny, not because it is rare, but because it represents a period of economic optimism and recovery. Following years of global turmoil, the design itself carried deep meaning, with Lincoln's image symbolizing unity and freedom, while the wheat ears represented American prosperity. The coin's motto, "In God We Trust," which had first appeared on the Lincoln cent in 1909, continued to serve as a statement of faith and national identity on the obverse side. The designer's initials VDB can still be faintly seen below Lincoln's shoulder. This was a point of controversy in 1909, when the initials were first added in large letters on the reverse, leading to public criticism and their temporary removal by 1950. However, the initials had been discreetly restored on the front side of the coin and remained there thereafter. Examining the year 1950 itself gives further insight into the context in which these pennies circulated. The United States was entering a decade of prosperity, with new industries emerging, suburban life expanding, and the baby boom generation beginning to take shape. It was also the early stage of the Cold War, when Americans began to experience both optimism and tension. In equal measure, these historical currents influenced all aspects of American life, including currency, which remained a vital part of daily transactions. While larger denomination coins and paper bills were gaining importance in an increasingly modern economy, the penny still held its place in everyday commerce. Children used them for candy vending machines, accepted them for small treats, and countless Americans saved them in jars or rolled them up for bank deposits in the numismatic world. The 1950 wheat penny is generally considered a common date coin due to its large mintage. However, it still holds interest for collectors because it can be found in several conditions and varieties. Uncirculated examples, especially those with bright red luster, are highly sought after. The Denver Mint issue, marked with a small D below the date, tends to be the most commonly found in circulation, while the San Francisco issue, marked with an S, is less common, but still widely available. Coins from the Philadelphia Mint have no mint mark, as was standard practice during this period. When evaluating the value of 1950 wheat pennies, collectors consider several factors, including mint mark, color grading, and any possible minting errors. Coins graded as red mint state examples, especially those with full luster and few blemishes, can command strong premiums in the market depending on the condition. They can range from a few cents in circulated condition to several dollars or even more for high-grade specimens. There are also known die varieties and minor minting errors that attract collector attention. For example, some 1950 D pennies display slight repunching of the mint mark, where the D was stamped more than once. These small anomalies can add considerable value to a coin for those who study the minting process. The 1950 wheat penny also offers insight into the technological methods of the mid-20th century. During this era, dies were still prepared largely by hand, though mechanical precision was improving rapidly. Compared to earlier decades, the mint used presses that could produce coins more efficiently and with greater uniformity. As a result, the coins from this year tend to exhibit crisp details on Lincoln's portrait, the wheat stalks, and the inscriptions. One of the most remarkable aspects of the wheat penny series is how it connects to American history and culture across generations. By 1950, the design had become familiar to nearly every American, symbolizing both continuity and trust in the nation's values. Many people born during the first half of the century grew up using these coins in daily life. The 1950 issue stood as a bridge between the early designs of the 20th century and the modern coins that would follow in 1959. The wheat reverse would be retired and replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design, marking the end of an era that had lasted 50 years. The transition reflected changing artistic tastes and national sentiments as the United States looked toward the future. But for collectors and historians alike, the 1950 wheat penny remains a tangible link to the past, carrying with it stories of industry resilience and national pride. Today, these coins continue to circulate in small numbers, occasionally found in pocket change or discovered in old coin jars. They evoke nostalgia for a simpler time when pennies truly held value and when craftsmanship in coinage reflected the ideals of a nation. Each 1950 wheat penny tells a story not only of its minting, but also of the countless hands it passed through, representing decades of American life for those creating educational or historical content about the 1950 wheat penny. It is worth exploring not only its production and design, but also the broader economic and cultural climate of post-war America. The year 1950 marked a turning point in the world with new technologies, consumer goods, and global relations shaping modern life. While these pennies may seem small, they are artifacts of this transformation, a perfect subject for numismatic enthusiasts and history lovers alike. The wheat penny remains more than just a coin. It is a symbol of perseverance, artistry, and American identity, and the 1950 edition captures that spirit beautifully through its blend of tradition and modernity that defined the mid-20th century.